Okay, being admitted, so everybody's in. We agree that we're being recorded. By staying in the meeting, I consent to being recorded. Okay. Okay, Maria, your screen is still sharing, so we're all watching you live stream. Is that okay?
That is perfectly fine. I have nothing to hide. No. Okay, hopefully it won't cause an echo. If it does, I'll try to fix it right away.
Not so far. Okay, what I'm seeing is the meeting is now streaming live on Facebook, so I don't see the agenda. Is that what I ought to be seeing?
No, ma'am. One moment, please.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. For everybody who just came into the meeting, thank you. Thank you for your patience. We were having what we politely call technical difficulties, which meant first my computer crashed and didn't want to start so I could start the Zoom meeting, and then something else went wrong, and then something else went wrong. So thank you for your patience and welcome. We've got one very special guest tonight. Our District 8 trustee, Judith Cruz, is with us, and she's already here in the meeting. So she's going to speak with us about what's going on at school board level, and especially at about the next year's budget. I think that counts as me calling the meeting to order. So welcome. We've got minutes to read, and we've got a new way for you to read the minutes. Rather than posting them in the chat, you can aim your phone at that QR code with the little dinosaur in it up on the agenda, and that will bring you the minutes. So we'll take a few minutes for everybody to read them. And of course, if you're having trouble, then please, by all means, let somebody know, put it in the chat. We'll help you. And Maria's put it up for everybody to read here.
And just apologize, point of clarification. The QR code will bring you to this meeting's agenda,
Oh, sorry.
not to the minutes.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood what that was for.
We can do that next time though.
Well, it's a great idea. Okay. He lived in Georgetown. Okay, I hope that was enough time for everybody to read. May we ask for, I will move to approve the minutes, and may I ask for a second, please?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, all in favor, say aye, or actually raise your thumb either in person or on your video screen using the reactions.
We actually have a poll, Susan. That
Oh,
popped
gosh.
up on their screen.
Yeah, I really need to get in the flow of things tonight. I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
No problem.
So Michelle's doing this better than I could. Please follow her directions.
All right, so we have 55% participation in the poll, as 100% approval of the minutes. 59%. Somebody felt obligated to push yes or no. Okay, so we have a majority, and it's 100% approval of the minutes. So the minutes pass. So I'm going to the poll.
And I'll stick my thumb up just because. Okay, Mr. Moss, I believe you are here. Would you come on and give us the principal's report, please?
Sure. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Starting off, a great big thanks to the PTO for today's teacher appreciation lunch, which was fantastic. Thank you so much. Probably the hottest topic that ties in with our guest speaker tonight is the staffing model proposed by our district especially for the 22-23 school year. And I'm very happy to say that I'm comfortable with the FTE, the full-time equivalency model, which it appears that staffing for our instructional faculty is intact. I don't really have anything to worry about that. There's one position in particular I am a little concerned with, and no principal can seem to get an answer about a school business manager. And that certainly is a very vital position that we need. And so I have to try to figure out how do we fund that because that is definitely a very much needed position. This is the first year in many, many, many years that Carnegie qualifies as a Title I targeted assistant school. So we are receiving funds, federal funds, for being at 35% economically disadvantaged. So we will receive some federal funds. We're not fully Title I because we're not at 40% or higher, but we do qualify as targeted assistant. And so there are additional funds that will come our way even next year. As a reminder, Monday is a school holiday for Chavez Huerta Day. So there's no school for students nor staff. STAR EOC, end of course exams, are upcoming for English 1 and English 2 on April 5th and April 7th, respectively. And we have about 4 more weeks until the end of the current cycle 5, grading cycle 5. Those are the key elements that I wanted to share with you all. And of course, next year's staffing is based on a 27-to-1 student-teacher ratio. So again, I'm thrilled and I feel very comfortable in regards to being able to staff our faculty. And I think you're muted, Ms.
I am
Hans.
definitely muted. Everybody's watching me make all the mistakes tonight. Nothing like doing that in public. That's great news. I'm glad to hear all those things. I will move on to the president's report then. I chatted with Danielle Batchelor, who is our school board watcher, literally earlier tonight, and she said, you know, with Ms. Cruz coming, I don't think I need to make a report. What I can say so I'll jump to budget concerns. I can reiterate what Mr. Moss said, but that would kind of waste your time and it's better coming from him. He is not worried. We're watching this, and everybody please keep an eye on things. You know, this is our public schools and we do get input. It could be a very big change in the way that our schools in general are funded. And there are public budget workshops. We will announce them on the PTO Facebook feed when we hear about them. You know, of course, we'd ask that, remember you're representing Carnegie and go and be calm and polite, but you are welcome to go. You don't need me to tell you to go or Mr. Moss to tell you to go. That's open to the public and you can go. We would like that. In fact, sorry, I'll break in and say there was one this afternoon. I was not able to attend because I had a different commitment. I believe there will be 2 more. And as I said, when PTO finds out about them, we will post them in the community Facebook feed so anybody can attend. They're usually live streamed, I believe. So if you can't go to Hattie Mae White, you should still be able to watch from wherever you are, if that's an option for you. And Ms. Sanchez, we wanted to recognize her both because I believe she's the employee of the month this month. I think we've got a little picture of her with her recognition there. You probably know she's our wraparound specialist. She's a regular at our general PTO meetings, but she also had a request that she wanted to make to everybody tonight. So Ms. Sanchez, are you ready?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I also wanted to share some of the efforts that I've been working and students have been able to participate. One of them was the Comfort Dog event. I had about 140 students come to the event. And it was really great. They really, really liked it. So I hope to have more in the future with Officer Bennett and Justice. I also had Juma Ventures come this Wednesday during lunchtime. It was a virtual meeting. And Juma Ventures is an organization that helps students find a job. If they're still trying to figure out what they want to do, they can work during the summer, and it helps them find a job either with the Toyota Center, Minute Maid, or the rodeo. And then they also do like professional classes. And then if they attend those classes, they get paid for it, which is amazing. Another note was I'm doing a clothing drive starting next Tuesday for about 2 weeks. So every time a student comes and donates, they'll be able to participate in a raffle. So if they donate, they'll be in the raffle to win a Coco Krebs gift card, just to kind of motivate them to come and donate some clothes. And it could be gently worn clothes. It'll be taken to Clothes by Faith, which is an organization that we work in our department. Just 2 more announcements. I know I'm talking a lot, but the second is we're doing a wellness market on April the 9th. And I'm really excited to share that 37 of our students are actually volunteering for the event, which is amazing. I'm really excited. So it's going to take place over at the River Oaks Elementary School from 11 to 2. We'll have food trucks. We'll have organizations that deal with physical and mental health. So it's really exciting. I believe it might be the first one ever to ever exist in Houston. So we're definitely making history here with our students. And I'll make sure to start advertising that. And it's a free event, so please come and join. It'll be very fun. But yes, the most important thing is that we actually had a student who suffered a house fire during spring break. And I was able to get some donations to the student, but I wanted to share, if you're interested in donating, they did start a GoFundMe page, and I'll make sure to post it on the chat. So if you're more than welcome to check it out, read about their story. And if you want any more information on how to help, please feel free to contact me. I'll put my email again. But the student is a senior, so we definitely want to support if we can. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We're really happy to have you and really thankful for all the work that you do. I can talk a little bit about upcoming events and speakers. Well, Ms. Sanchez just told you about the fair at which several of our students are volunteering. You'll hear a lot about upcoming events as our school is celebrating their 20th birthday. So what I will really talk about is next PTO meeting, which will be, now I have to look at my own calendar, but our next PTO meeting in April, the general meeting speaker, April 21st. Thank you. You're a step ahead of me, Maria. The speaker will be Benjamin Holloway. Mr. Holloway is a former teacher at Carnegie, and he left to start his own college consulting business. It's called Apply with Sanity, and the name does ring true. He is always happy to come speak to Carnegie and talk to us about college admissions. And so he will be our speaker next month. And you are welcome to bring your students to tune in. So I am ready to hand it off to the next speaker, I think. So Mala, would you give us our financial reports?
Hello, everyone. I'm Mala Gupta, PTO's treasurer for the year 21-22. And I guess Maria is already going to start the financial statement. So let me start by presenting to you the financial statements for the year. This statement is from June 1st, 21 till March 15, 2022. So it shows all the expenses and the revenue so far incurred. So please go through the list. And, to me, this is what I talk. So everything looks very simple. But of course, when somebody's looking at it the first time, please look at it and let me know if there is any question. And I know it'll be fast right now. So you guys want to look at more details, it will be posted it is already posted in vanguardian.com under documents and forms. So if you guys want to take your time later on and look at it, that'd be great. So this is pretty much account of how much donations received and where the money is being spent so far. So now, next thing I want to you guys to look at it is budget versus actual. So budget is what we budget at the beginning of the year based off last year's expenses pretty much, given many factors into consideration. So it's a very rough draft, but actual shows how much we have incurred so far. So whatever is left, but we still also have a 3 months, almost 3 months to go with the school year. So this will also be posted on the website under vanguardian.org under documents and forms. So please take a look at it and let me know if anybody has any question. Email me at treasurer@cvhspto.org, and I'll be happy to help you get it answered. So this is what, in terms of financial statements.
Mala,
As I
is
said, yeah, go ahead.
is there anything that you want to highlight in terms of money we've recently spent or anything else that you want to highlight?
Everything is important. I say every category is important. So, but recently, I mean, just last week, we gave our swag bags to our high donors, which donates 1,000 and over. So thank you so much. And I hope you guys all like all these goodie bags that went up with kids. Thanks to our swag chair, Jackie and Suzanne. It was all put together by them. So that it shows under family and friends expenses under donations. And so on the top, very top. Yeah, it says under family and friends expenses as 1,700. So it was about 1,400, and then there was almost around $350, $60 spent on principal's breakfast, which also held 2 weeks back to thank all our donors. So thank you so much for community support. And that's something I'm mentioning just because it just happened. Of course, many other expenses are on a parallel basis as well.
What about teachers? Because each of the teachers gets an allowance. Can
Yeah,
you
so
tell us
teachers
what's going on with that?
Yes, so every teacher in Carnegie gets $350. I know the minutes said 300 if somebody saw it, but it's actually 350. Every teacher gets $350 every year to spend on anything they like related to their classrooms. So far, about 60-65% teachers have claimed that, and we have delivered whatever they asked for, or they got reimbursed for if they have spent anything on their end, and they gave us all the proper paperwork and we give them the check. So the rate is about 60-65%, and that can be found under teacher support. If you see teacher supplies, now go down, Maria. You were go up. Yeah, that's under 62910. That's the number of the category 62910.
Okay.
So yeah, it's about 60-65%. So teachers, if you are listening, please turn in those forms, because this money is not something that will be accumulated. Every new year starts a new quota. So anybody has any request and they want us to order something, we would happily do it for you guys. So thank you so much for all you do, and we really appreciate. And anything else, Susan, you want to ask me?
No, I can't think of anything. Ms. Schmidt, we know you're here, so please spread the word to other teachers. If you haven't spent your allowance yet, spend it.
Yes. And another thing I would like to mention before I go, but just last week only, I activated a Zelle option for our PTO. So if anybody would like to use that option to send a money donation via Zelle, the email that is associated with it is cvhspto@yahoo.com, not Gmail. It's cvhspto@yahoo.com. So that's the email that is registered with Zelle. So if anybody wants to send a money, please use that email via Zelle. And thanks for listening, and over to Susan. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mala. Georgie, I think we're ready for the volunteers report, correct?
Yes. Hi. Hi, everybody. The first thing I want to talk about a little bit is the directory and our social media, which is the way the PTO communicates, and also a chance for parents to connect if they want to. We do have posted guidelines about those, and I believe Maria has put those up, that the information is just for the use of the PTO and for parents in the school who want to contact one another. So what that really means in a broad sense is that, you know, we're a public school, we're made up of people and families, and just like, you know, we need to see each other as just another parent, just another family, and nobody puts their name in the directory or joins the Facebook page to be marketed to. So please, no marketing on any of these. You can't, it's just not, it's not within our guidelines, and it's not about our values, because we need to model, you know, respectful community-minded behaviors for our kids, you know, and that we treat each other, we want to make our relationships with our fellow parents, you know, community-based relationships, and not like fear each other because someone's going to market to us, and we're nobody's target market. We're just all members of the same community. So we're just asking for extra respect to be shown, you know, when using our social media and directory. But we do want you to get on those, because we put a lot of great information out there. We're going to nominate people for the PTO officers and committee chairs, and if you're interested in putting your name in for any of those, I have a couple of links. This is, and also descriptions of those jobs. So these are the bylaws, and within those bylaws are descriptions of the committees and the positions that we're being nominated for. So we'd love to have it be open to everybody. So please put your name in, and the nominating committee will consider all the nominees, all the people who do that, to be a part of our PTO. What else can I tell you? Oh, yes. That's it, I think. If you ever have any questions, feel free to email me at volunteers@cvhspto.org. Oh, yes, and one more thing about the directory. If someone uses the directory to market to their company, it compromises our nonprofit status. We're a not-for-profit, and therefore in our bylaws and everything else, whatever we do, whatever emails we send out, it can't be related to any profitable endeavor. They're all for a nonprofit purpose. So that's it. Just wanted to let you guys know that, and thank you so much.
All right, I think our next speaker, I believe, will be Jamie Turner, who will tell you about upcoming. Okay, no, I've got the wrong thing. Sorry. Yep, you all get to watch me being a dingbat in real time. Yes, our next speaker is Jamie Turner, who is our special events VP. Jamie, you ready to tell us what's coming up?
I am. Thank you, Susan. Good evening, everyone. I only wanted to talk about one item this evening, and that is our upcoming celebration that is all about CVHS. So we are going to celebrate on April 30th, 20 years of CVHS's excellence. So I would love for you all to mark your calendars. Be prepared to show up, because it is going to be our best gathering yet. On April 30th, the doors are going to open at 6:30 p.m. So you want to be sharp and prompt. It is going to be a we'll figure out, I'll post that later. 6:30, the doors open. 7 o'clock, we are actually going to start the program for the event. We're going to have delicious food. We're going to have live entertainment. We'll have a tour of our beautiful building. We're going to have a presentation that shares, you know, the conception of CVHS all the way to present, and much, much more. The ticket prices are $50 for general admission. That's everyone's price. Faculty, past and present, their price is slightly reduced to $30. And then our students have a small price tag of $10. But let me just emphasize to you, this is our last opportunity to get together for this school year. We will not see each other again after this one, except for graduation. But I do want to say that this will be an absolute amazing opportunity, both for us to celebrate how amazing CVH is, and how much we appreciate the faculty that sacrifice for our students. So please come out. Please, please, please come out. April 30th.
Okay, thank you. And if you've got any questions about that, it should be all over our social media, and you can send questions to Jamie at specialevents@cvhspto.org.
Yes.
Which,
Susan,
oh,
I'm
go
so
ahead.
sorry. I did want to say one thing. April 30th is a Saturday. So when you mark your calendars, make sure you mark the right Saturday. That following Sunday, we are asking that parents come out and help us prepare for Monday's AP exams. We want to help Miss Matsu get the school ready. We're having this party on Saturday, but we don't want to leave the school in a way where she has to do it all on her own. So I'm asking that along with myself, we do show back up on Sunday. We put the tables and chairs together so that our students can just walk in and there's no pressure on our faculty, Ms. Matsu and especially, and they can just sit down and get to testing. So I just wanted to bring that up. May 1st, you're going to see that in social media as well.
Okay, thank you, because we all know that those AP exams are very, very important. And it's a big load off Ms. Matsu to know that she can walk in on Monday morning and everything is set up and ready for her to go. And she said she will come to help supervise, but she can't set up the whole room all by herself. There's just too much. Okay, Joya Shukla, our fundraising VP, are you ready to go?
Absolutely.
Please go ahead.
So everyone, again, echoing what Jamie said, we invite you to come out to the 20th birthday bash. We are working to finalize caterers, decorators, everything that's needed to pull off a party. In that vein, we are working hard to find sponsorships. So if you are a parent or member of the CVHS community and either own a restaurant or would like to sponsor part of the catering for the evening or all the catering for the evening or the decorations or the DJ, again, there's lots of opportunities. We're also looking for businesses to partner with. We understand that some things may be sponsored and some things we'll have to actually go out and procure. So if you're a member of the community and have a service or talent that you may be able to offer, again, this event is as much a social event as it is a.
Joya, yeah, you just accidentally muted.
Yep. Encourage you to come out, figure out where you can help with fundraising. Tickets we'll be sending out communication for tickets and sponsorships, I believe tomorrow. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. It is also the first time that we are reaching out we've reached out to actually a couple of thousand alumni addresses that we had on file. We would love to get a table for each year sponsored by that class. So a lot of alumni have expressed interest, and it's really the first time. Susan and Principal Moss helped me out, but I think it's really the first time that we're doing this kind of massive outreach to alumni going back 20 years.
I believe so.
And I think as they were scanning, maybe you saw a picture of the roof. One of our goals is with funds from this event to actually make the roof usable during rain and inclement weather. So we're looking to put a cover on the roof where students can use this area, whether it's a scorching summer or it's rainy. So any questions from anyone? Again, one other thing that we are looking to do at this event is have a silent auction. And so if any of you have new items at home that can be put, made into a silent auction basket, or you have season tickets to the Texans and there's a weekend maybe that you can't go, or the Astros or Rockets, or anything that you might have that you think would be a good auction item, please feel free to just share the information. Or if you would like to design an experience, maybe a pizza party for 10 kids at your pool, or a trip to the aquarium, or whatever that looks like to you, we are open for both items and experiences for the silent auction.
Okay, is there anything else that you want to add?
So in terms of fundraising for friends and family, the 58.6 are actual donations from parents, but we've actually exceeded our initial fundraising goal for the year, which was 60,000 when we consider the donations, and thank each of you that are using Amazon, have put your information into your Kroger card, Randall's card, every bit adds up and helps. So we are over 60,000 when all of that is considered, but we are targeting raising 20,000 for the 20th birthday party bash fundraiser.
And hopefully we will be able to use that to put a roof on the little seating area upstairs to use it all year long.
And Susan, just one other thing. I really want to thank all the donors that came out for the principal's breakfast. That was a really nice event, thanking a number of the donors that were at the $500 level and above.
And all right, then thank you very much, Joya. And everybody, if you can help in any of those ways, Joya, what's the best way to contact you?
The fundraising PTO.
Okay.
It's the email is fundraising@cvhspto.org. I just want to make sure.
Susan, I actually never use that email because it pulls into what I do use.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Thank you, Georgie. And Georgie, I want to, again, thank you for sending 3 fundraising volunteers over. There's tons to be done. We're reaching out to businesses for sponsorships, for donations. If anyone's interested in helping with fundraising, there's 3 primary categories that, people are leading. It's either, community outreach, alumni outreach, and sponsorships.
Okay, thank you. You can all tell this is going to be a big event and Joy is going to need lots of help. And we hope everybody will come. So spread the word. Are you ready to hand over to Maria? You good, Joya?
Absolutely.
Okay, Maria, would you talk to us about communications, please?
Okay, so good evening, everybody. Just a reminder that all of this information is on our website. You've seen me bounce back and forth to the website. It's listed there, the Vanguardian. If you use the QR code, you can get to it. That's our landing page, and it always, thanks to Mary, who's our webmaster and my one and only volunteer. And she keeps it up and running, and also has done a revamp. So if it looks different, don't be panicked. It's sleeker and runs better. And so check it out. But whatever is up and coming is in the middle now. And you can find this agenda again, and all of these are live links. So if you're getting annoyed because you didn't catch somebody's email, you don't know how to contact someone, you wanted to see something again, the best way to get that is by going to the agenda. All of these are live links. So everyone who has spoken tonight, their email is linked to their name. And if you download the meeting minutes by going to the website, you can contact them by just clicking on their name. Same thing with everything that I've been clicking on and will click on during the meeting. You should be able to access all of the same, either informatics, whatever graphics I click on. If you don't know how to do any of that stuff, this is a good time to grab your student. They owe us, so that's the least they can do. Just grab them and ask them to help you. I have an announcement from Ms. Hill. TPSP, the Texas Performance Standards Project. Your student is either doing TPSP or they're doing research, one of the two, while they're at Carnegie. She needs volunteers, parents. I did this last year. It was a lot of fun. The students have to do presentations. By the way, Ms. Hill is actually legacy for Carnegie. She's a former graduate of this Vanguard program back when it was at Jones High School. And her father was actually also a teacher. So I'm not saying that means you have to volunteer. I'm just saying you should consider it. Anyways, so there is a complete description of what she needs, but honestly, you don't have to have any experience. You don't even have to remember what TPSP stands for, because I never do. But you just have to be able to listen and appreciate and follow some very simple instructions. It is worthwhile. So if you're interested, it's online, which is helpful because many of us work, because hardworking students come from hardworking parents, and you can spend a little bit of time. So if you'll check out her Sign Up Genius, it is here. You can use the QR code. Again, ask your kids if you don't know how to scan a QR code. If not, the very long link is also here. And we posted it on Facebook earlier today, but I didn't want to kind of overwhelm with a lot of stuff. So after the meeting, we will post it on all our social media. But do
Okay.
consider being a volunteer. And one last thing.
Seniors, I believe.
Yes, the senior committee is, so when we talk about senior committee, we have two committees. We have the parents and we have the students. For those of you that have seniors this year and you have questions about what's going on, this is your page. We have a page for every class. So just come to the Vanguardian. Again, this is kind of where we put, it's the repository for all of the information for the PTO. If you go to the class of 22, you'll find this information. This is where we pop in everything that we know when we know it, as soon as we know it, and then we try to push it out to the social media too. So we're lucky to have the actual seniors, the student senior committee, because they're the ones that actually make a lot of the decisions as to what's happening as far as the end of year events. And they do it in conjunction with some very kind administrative sponsors who help guide them. And then we as the senior parents also chip in. And so we're getting to the point where we're going to need some volunteers. And that's where Georgie, our VP of volunteers, is going to be sending out probably some sign up geniuses for that. So that'll be forthcoming. So without further ado, I believe we have some, if not all of these students here: Sophia, Jarrell, Jacovia, Zainab, Vedant, Julian. Just unmute.
Yeah,
when
we're
you're
here.
ready. Thank you.
So I guess we could just give an update on what's happening so far for the senior committee. So we have today, we finalized with Mr. Garner the camp date, or our senior trip date, which is at Camp Cullen, and it'll be a weekend trip, and it will be on the weekend of May 21st. And right now I'm also going to share a graphic that we made for the tentative dates and events that we might have. So I'll walk through that right now. So on March 31st, we have at least one payment of senior dues due. So that's a partial payment, all of it, or yeah. And there's different options for a partial payment. And I believe it's without trip and then only cap and gown, or you could do the full dues, which is $215. And then, as I said, we already have the senior trip on the weekend of the 21st. And then in late May or early June, we're planning either a senior sunset or a senior breakfast or both. And that would be like a fun event where we like have raffles and parent volunteers and all of that. That would like kind of cap off the school year because we had senior sunrise at the beginning. And then we have prom at Kim Sun, which is on June 4th, and then graduation, obviously, at Butler Fieldhouse on June 10th. And also the trip was decided off of like a vote for sort of like a vote of like where among the senior class of sort of like where to go. And that was decided as like the majority choice. And also we do have t-shirts we do have a class t-shirt form, and that is for that like, so we every year the class has a t-shirt that is every year our class has like a commemorative t-shirt. So we would kindly ask that if any parent has a design idea or something like that, that they could submit it in a form that I am about to send in the chat. And I think that's about it. Oh, or the form's already up. Yeah, or it's already in the chat. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. I am always impressed with the work that you seniors put into organizing your own year. It's really impressive. Okay, does anybody, go ahead, Vinay.
I would
Go
also
ahead.
like to thank Ms. Shukla because she did actually get us in contact with the people at Camp Cullen who helped us finalize that date. So I'd also like to thank her for that, and the rest of the PTO.
Thank you, Vedant. Anytime.
Okay, well, I think we are ready to adjourn our meeting business unless anybody has a question, and you can put that in the chat or you can speak. Okay, well, I don't hear anybody speaking, so I would like to introduce our speaker for the night. Judith Cruz was elected, I believe, 2 years ago. She's our District 8 trustee for Carnegie. And this year, she is actually the president of the Board of Trustees of the Houston Independent School District. And she would like to talk with us about the budget process and of what the ideas are, and I hope some of what the changes might be so we can better understand them. Welcome, Ms. Cruz. We're very happy to have you.
Hey, everyone. Can y'all hear me okay? Okay. I'm sitting outside, so hopefully there's not too much background noise. We were in an 8-hour board meeting. We had 4 hours of hearings and then a 4-hour budget workshop. So I need some fresh air. So that's why I'm sitting outside. So interestingly, Mr. Moss, you were the first principal that has said that they are actually happy with this budget, which makes me happy to hear that. A lot of schools are losing positions, particularly teaching positions. And I'll go into details of why that's happening and what that looks like. So we have several budget workshops scheduled. They are open to the public, like Ms. Haas stated, and they're also streamed on, if you go to houstonisd.org/live TV, or you go to Houston ISD's YouTube channel, you can watch them live on either of those channels. And the next one is a week from today, March 31st, and it'll start at 1 p.m. You're probably wondering why it's like different start times. Most of us work as well as have this volunteer position. So, we kind of do doodle polls and see when folks are available. So it'll be 1 p.m. And then the following one after that, we have quite a few. Usually we spread them out a little more. A couple of things. We started the budget process conversations a little bit later than normal. And because the proposal is such a fundamental shift from how we typically fund schools, as board president, I asked for the budget workshops to happen sooner because of the implications that this will have on campuses, and so that principals are able to make their staffing decisions, because we don't technically approve the budget until June. And by law, we have to approve it by the end of June, but staffing decisions and all those budgetary decisions need to be made well before the end of the school year. And so I think it's better for the public, for principals, you know, everyone involved to have the information sooner than later. So the one after March 31st, let me look at my calendar, is April 7th. And that'll be at 2 p.m. That's also a Thursday. And then the last one we have scheduled, we might have more, hopefully not, but the last one we have on the calendar at this point is April 12th. That's a Tuesday at 1 p.m. So I hope that, you know, if you're not able to come in person, and I understand not everybody has the luxury of time, you can, you know, even if you're at work or you're at home or even, you know, taking a walk outside, you can listen in on your phone or whatever device you have. It's really important, since these are the public's dollars and the public schools belong to you all, that you understand, you know, how that money's being spent. So I wanted to share, and I think I can share my screen, right? Yeah. I think the person that's sharing has to stop sharing. Okay, let me try again. Okay. So typically there's different funding models for schools, and we've had what we call a weighted student formula, where the majority of our allocation to schools is based on student needs. And so there's a whole formula, like if there's a basic allocation, and then if, you know, a student is economically disadvantaged, if a student is special ed, if a student is GT, if a student is an English learner, you know, whatever, all the different categories that how we base student characteristics and need, there's different weights for all of those, and each weight carries an amount of money. And so if you have a school with a lot more economically disadvantaged students, you're going to get more funds, because we all know that students with different needs need different types of resources and different amounts of resources to be able to learn at the same speed or acceleration of someone else. And so what the district is proposing is to move, and what they're saying, you know, what they said today in the presentation is that it's going to be a hybrid, but the majority of what they're proposing to move is to an FTE model, which stands for full-time equivalency. And so if you look on this little, I don't know, a chart, I guess I would call it, and you see at the bottom, it says if baseline staffing allocation is provided, it's key positions for students in every single school. So every school across the district, no matter if it's a magnet school, a neighborhood school, high school, middle school, every single school has these baseline positions. And then above that, there's going to be a pretty big allotment that will be centrally funded of different types of supports that typically schools would have paid for. So think about substitute teachers, or band instruments, or UIL expenses, or stipends, you know, just kind of like it's a pretty big list, an exhaustive list of things that will be centrally funded, and schools will not have to worry about it. I'm particularly excited about the substitute teachers, because I know how much that's a huge burden on campuses. And, you know, I know teachers are always trying to cover each other's classes to save money, and that's just really stressful. So that's, you know, a bucket on top of that baseline allocation. Above that, there will still be a weighted formula to provide additional funds. So above the baseline allocation, above what the central supports are, there's going to be a weighted formula. Now, I'm a little unclear on how much funds are in that weighted formula that will be provided, and that will be where principals still have a little bit of autonomy over their funds. So currently, under our weighted student formula, principals have quite a bit of autonomy of how money is spent. They can decide whether they want to hire, different types of specialists, whether they want to have 2 clerks or 1 teacher. There's a lot more discretion at the campus level currently. Under this proposal, that would fundamentally shift mostly to central office, and principals would have discretion over a much more small amount of money, at least percentage-wise, compared to what they currently have. So just to give you an idea of what some of those, I don't know if there's a way to make this bigger. Okay, so some of these are the baseline staffing allocations. So on the left are for every single school. So every single school will have at least 1 counselor, 1 assistant principal, and then depends on, this is going to be based on the ratio of the amount of students, right? So you might say, well, we already have a nurse, so nothing will change. What I'm hearing from some principals are saying, well, I already have communities and schools, so do I really need a counselor? When I asked the district today, they basically said, this is the baseline, right? They feel like that's what's important. And so what I had talked about, the different things that are centrally funded. So these are some of the things that previously were paid for out of school budgets directly, and they will be centrally funded. Also wanted to share, let me see if I can find it. I have so many tabs open, I'm trying to find how to, okay. And one more from the slides today, and I'll post these. Why am I having difficulty finding where the, oh, because that was the last one. Okay, hold on. Let me stop sharing for a second. Okay, here we go. So while I'm opening that question in the chat is, the GT programming is centrally funded. Does that mean the GT magnet like CBHS will get funding through that? It's a great question. And what I've been told is that like magnet funding won't change for this year. And if anything, they're actually going to increase the magnet funding. But I will ask that question and get a little more clarity on that. Okay, so let me share this other screen. So the important thing to note with all of this, a reminder that, that there's finite dollars, right? I think, in a perfect world, every single school has all of these positions, has, band, choir, like all of the wish lists that any parent would want at any school. But unfortunately, we have finite dollars, right? We are underfunded compared to other states. We rely on property tax values, and because of the way our state funds schools, because we are considered property wealthy, we give a pretty big chunk back to the state in a system called recapture. And that's a whole other conversation I won't go into tonight, but would love to connect with y'all offline if anyone's interested in learning more about that. So anyway, it's important to remember that there's a finite amount of money. And oh, another piece that I forgot to mention, there's so many, oh, sorry, y'all, there's so much information in this budget, is a pretty hefty compensation package for teachers and principals and support staff, but teachers are getting the biggest chunk because they are the largest amount of employees in the district. It's long overdue, right? Our teachers deserve much, much more than we can pay them. We should at least be somewhat competitive with the surrounding districts, and this compensation package proposes just that. Now that's going to cost millions and millions and millions of dollars because we've got a lot of teachers in the district. So this screen that I'm sharing is what our proposed, so the budget that we would adopt this June. This is the proposed deficit. So when we adopted the budget last year, to give you a little bit of context, in the last couple of years, we have adopted a deficit. And last year, we adopted a deficit. I think it was about 100 million, which is a lot of money. And so under this proposal, that deficit would actually, now we have one-time funds, ESSER, the federal stimulus that will basically get us through the next 2 years in terms of kind of covering this deficit. We haven't, as trustees, heard a clear plan on how that deficit is going to be addressed at the end of the 2 years. And so, at least for me, it's important to know that before approving this budget, because that's a really big hole. And I can't imagine me being a trustee and approving this budget. My term is up at the end of 2023. I'm not reelected, and then somebody else has to figure out the mess. That would be really irresponsible. It'd be like me buying a car with a 5-year loan for my kid and telling him, well, I can pay the first 2 years and I don't know how I'm going to pay the last 3 years of the loan, but here's the car, have fun, right? Like there's, you know, we have to be responsible. And I don't feel like the district is necessarily trying to like take us off a cliff, but it's very unclear to me how we're not going to get into, you know, fall into that ravine. And so this is something definitely to watch and be mindful of. You know, this is taxpayer money. It is money intended for the education of children. And I probably should have stated this at the beginning, but you know, the board sets the vision and the goals for the district, and that's what we hold the superintendent accountable to. You know, these are things that we expect children to be able to know and to do by the time they graduate from high school. And our 4 goals, it's 3rd grade reading, 3rd grade math, college and career readiness, and then a focus on special education. And so really and truly the strategic plan and the budget should all align as well to our board goals. And I don't know for sure if I've seen evidence of that quite yet. So we're still, you know, asking a lot of questions and in this process, right, of understanding better, and hopefully can come to the conclusion that this is the best thing for students. And if we don't come to that conclusion, we can meet halfway and do what we feel is the best thing for our students. So whew, that was a mouthful. Would love to take any questions if there's time. I know we're kind of late.
Well, I guess I'll start off then. I had a question about GT programming, because Carnegie as a high school is, you know, an independent high school, and we're the only, well, I correct myself to say independent, because I know that in the educational world, that really means something rather different. But we are a standalone high school. We're not part of any other like neighborhood high school. And we do GT a particular way. And GT programming is one of the things that really varies from school to school, on the elementary level, on the middle school level, and then at high school. Each school they do it their own way. So even if you're a GT student at Lamar or Bel Air or Chavez, you're not getting the same curriculum that Carnegie offers. So does this address that? You know, how is that going to be handled? If GT dollars are coming from a central office, does some central programming come with that?
That's a great question, and I can submit that to the administration because I haven't heard particularly how GT services will be, or GT supports, I should say, are going to be handled. And I don't know if Mr. Moss is still on. I'm curious if he's gotten any answers. You know, he's gotten more specific, campus-specific information than I have. I don't know if he's still on by any chance.
I am on, and we did receive a template for the staffing model at the beginning of the month during the March principals meeting, and just received an updated template at 7 p.m. last night, so just a little bit over 24 hours from now. So there are some slight changes, but I have not received any information specific to GT funding.
Okay, thank you. So Ms. Haas, I will definitely get an answer for you. And it's an important answer. We have a critical mass of students in our district. And like you said, their experiences vary widely. And I know this as a parent of 3 GT students who have attended, neighborhood schools, magnet schools. The experiences are vastly different. So it would be great to see if we are centralizing, that there is some consistency of supports. So get that information.
I'll ask another question then. How is this going to affect, I know that there's some basically flex spending for each school, but how is this staffing model going to affect schools like, a number of us have younger siblings or younger children at, or our children previously attended magnet schools with, basically a specific program like Meyerland PVA that's heavy on fine arts and performance arts. Or my daughter attended Baylor at Ryan and their, middle school grade pre-med program. And those, how is that going to be handled? How do those schools keep their programming, or can they?
That's a great question. And so what we've been told by the administration is that magnet funding will not change. And if anything, they're going to increase magnet funding in terms, they're going to try to open some new magnet programs, and they're researching and talking to communities about that right now. However, I think there's a caveat because principals have had, different buckets of money. A lot of principals that have magnet programs use not just magnet funding to pay for, maybe an elective teacher or other streams of magnet programming. There's other funds, streams of funds that they use. And so I think the tricky part is under this proposal, the current proposal as it stands today, is because they're going to lose, the ratio, right? Maybe they're going to get a counselor, but they're losing a teacher. And then that teacher is probably the elective teacher that provides that magnet service. So I think, my understanding is principals are in conversations with their SSOs and with the chief of schools, still trying to work out and understand what those, I call them unintended consequences are of this staffing model, because there's so many different buckets of money that principals have creatively used to fund programs. And so my hope is that those remain intact, at least for this year, because folks are already accepted to magnets, and it's very difficult to plan and change course so quickly. And I think giving folks more time, at least if this is going to change, giving them more time to plan would be necessary, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have other questions? I don't need to be the only person talking here. And you can also put a question in the chat, and we can read it and relay it to the whole group. That'll work too.
I have another question. I know there's always been this thing with HISD between the magnets and the neighborhood schools, and the concern that the neighborhood schools suffer because of the magnet program, and how can we make it more equitable amongst all the schools, so that a kid in HISD can get a good education at any, so that we don't have such a disparity. I know this budget is going to attempt to do that, but with a district as large as ours, I feel like there's not a one form of budget that's going to make that happen. There's so many changes that need to happen. And I just wonder, I know the last time there was someone tried to shift around the magnet program, it just created all kinds of parent pushback, and I wonder how that was different. Was that because they were looking at changing the whole magnet system, and this is looking to keep the magnet system, but distribute the funds more equitably? Is this the idea of the budget, or am I just it's not that at all?
So there's probably a couple of different things you're referring to. So in 2018, the superintendent at the time, Superintendent Carranza, he proposed shifting to an FTE model. And I think, if I remember correctly, at the same time, there was a proposal to change magnet schools as well. And if any of you are part of that Facebook group, supporters of HISD magnets and budget accountability, that was when that group came to pass. It was January of 2018. That's when they started to exist, because parents were like, no, you're not going to change all this overnight, not without community input. So there are a lot of similarities, right? Moving to the FTE model, right? Where the staffing allocation, every school gets the same. It's based on the ratio of students to teachers and not necessarily student need. So that is pretty similar. The slight difference is it's not every single position, it's the baseline positions. However, the baseline positions take up a pretty significant chunk of the school allocations, leaving a very small portion for the weighted student allocation based on student need. There have been a couple of different times when the magnet programs, there's been proposed changes, and I haven't seen, I think that there's more focus now on middle school and high school in terms of expanding magnet programming. So my understanding again is that the funding, at least the magnet funding for this coming school year, 2022-2023, will not change. However, that doesn't mean that magnet programming won't be affected, because like I stated before, some of those allocations come from different places. So I hope that answers your question.
So Ms. Cruz, I had a question so a school like ours has parents that come from every corner of the district, but our trustee is assigned based on region. I happen to live near the school, but a lot of our parents don't. How does that play into advocacy? I mean, when we ask our parents to get involved and, not just politically, very specifically, but just to get involved with these specific issues, what do you recommend as far as, that's concerned? Because it feels a little bit like whenever we investigate these things, sometimes we're told, oh, but talk to your representative. Well, it's somebody who's completely unrelated to the school where our children go. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my opinion, all trustees represent all students. Yes, we are elected in single member geographic districts, and we have schools that fall under those constituencies, but ultimately the decisions we make represent all students. So if you were to ask me, I would say you should be advocating with all of us, all 9 of us. And if you're sending an email, I would send it to the superintendent and all 9 trustees, sharing any kind of concern that you have, whether it's about CVHS or another school. That's really, like, we should all be aware of all concerns and that kind of thing, especially when we're talking about like budget implications. And, if it's something that happened at your school, that's a different situation, and really, which should probably be handled by the school's office anyway. But if you're advocating for, equity in the budget, then I would definitely advise reaching out to all of us.
Ms. Cruz, it's Ramon Moss, and I actually have a question for you. I almost feel guilty that we're in a good situation. I've tried to protect our faculty and staff as best, we've could over many different years. With this new model, maybe this is a good problem to have. They have a title of classroom teachers, and it says flex or flexible. And we're actually acquiring 2 positions, but we're at the point now where we're completely out of room, and I don't know, who we would hire for those positions if we could. But my understanding is that we cannot displace that money. And so as I mentioned earlier, my business manager is integral to Carnegie, but yet it seems like some entity in HISD has it out for school business managers. And every year they're, lessening and lessening their authority and what they can do. But I would love to be able to use the salary for a flex teacher, which I can't use and don't have room for, in order to fund the salary for a school business manager. But my understanding is that that wouldn't be possible.
Based on the question I asked today, under this proposed budget, there's not like, let me substitute this for something else. I mean, in my mind, that makes sense. You know your campus and its needs. Let me ask you this. If you don't have the budget that you would normally manage, do you still feel the need for a business manager? And if so, why?
So at Carnegie, our faculty and our staff are very much committed to all of our students. Our students are our clients, and each and every one of my employees is vital to that. We don't have a lot of turnover because our faculty and staff are so dedicated to our students. But in particular, this school business manager plays an integral role when it comes to finances. And, in a way, my assistant principal and my dean are my right and left hand. But when it comes to financial and overseeing administrative staff, cafeteria staff, so on and so forth, custodial staff, my school business manager runs it to a T. So I just fear that I can't have anything else added to my plate. My plate and my cup runneth over.
Well, Mr. Moss, I hear you on that.
And so that's one position, and it's not just specific to Carnegie. A lot of principals can't get answers. Who is trying to eliminate, it seems, this particular position, and we can't get answers.
Okay, well, that's really helpful to know and understand, as I continue to advocate for, the schools and their needs. And, advocating yourself as well, whether it's with your SSO or the chief of schools, your campus best. And that's critical and that's key, right? Especially a school like Carnegie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can the business manager teach a class and then he's a flex teacher and a business manager? Is that a loophole we can?
Well,
can they help with macroeconomics?
Fortunately, she does have a degree, but she's not certified. So she well, as of now.
Hey, ACP is going to be free, Mr. Moss.
I will encourage that.
Okay, it's been a good discussion, guys. Does anybody else have questions?
I do want to take this opportunity to just say, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, but this school, these people, Mr. Moss. I mean, I have a senior and I'm about to have a new freshman next year. I could cry. I love this school so much. They do such an excellent job. And I'm sure some people think, oh, well, it's easy because you have GT students. It's not easy. What they do with these students, I mean, I have kids with disabilities, they have issues. And just what I'll just take Miss Ford as an example because that's the most recent example, but there's probably 15 teachers that have been on this call tonight who the amount of extra, hours, days, months of work that they put in out of just their hearts. They don't sponsor one club, they sponsor half a dozen, and they eat lunch with their students. I've never seen anything like it, not just with my kids, but in my life. So whatever they're doing there, model, not just let Mr. Moss keep doing it, but let them be a model to other schools, because it's remarkable.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that comment because, I think that's, one of the things that I'm advocating for the most, not just in this budget proposal and conversations, but in general, right? We have a lot of, shining stars, I would say, and I know Carnegie is a very unique school. I think the leadership is what makes all the difference. The culture of that school, it's hard to replicate, right? But we should definitely take the lessons learned and try to replicate those in the district. But I always say, let's not break what's already working. So I will definitely continue to advocate for that. Absolutely. And, shout out to Mr. Moss and the staff, and really, you, the parents, also contribute to that culture. So great work, y'all.
As a point of humor, we've got somebody in the chat claiming that the school loves her kids more than she does. But I know her, and I really don't think that's true. But it's a good laugh. Thank you, friend. I think that is the end, unless anybody's got one more question. We'd like to thank you for spending your time with us, Ms. Cruz, very much. We really appreciate you coming to speak to us. This is always a stressful and confusing time in the school year, and we know that it's been a long day for you, and we really thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
I just want a second.
Oh, sure.
Sorry, I've been the one that's going to the board meetings and then coming back to this board, and you all are under the gun with, my jaw drops at some of the things, honestly, that parents come forward with in some cases. And then in other cases, they seem quite reasonable, but I know you can't please everyone. And the whole thing with COVID and everything has been hardcore. So thank you for your service.
Definitely. And thank you so much for having me. Would love to come again soon and share updates as well. And I hope to see some of you, even if it's virtually, attending our budget workshops. Feel free to reach out anytime.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, I would move to adjourn this meeting. Does anybody want to second? Have to make a motion before we can vote. Okay, Michelle, I don't think we have a poll for this, so shall we just stick our thumbs up and say good night?
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you all for being here. And we hope to see you next month at the PTO meeting and next month at Carnegie's birthday party. Good night, everybody.